live from the Coachella Valley. Time for another hour of the desert scene. Art exhibitions to modernism, music festivals to live theater, big screen, little screen, and very little screen. This is the Culture Corner with Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza. Here's Bonnie and Brayan on iHub Radio.
And we're back here on the Culture Corner on iHub Radio, and now we're joined by a good buddy of mine, a very talented guy, actor, singer, director, artistic producer, director of Desert Ensemble Theater Company, Jerome Elliot. Hey, Jerome, how are you?
Hi, Bonnie. I'm good. How are you?
Good. So tonight you've got another installment of DETC's Monologue Slam series. So tell us about this.
Yes. The Monologue Slam is the latest in a series of online events that we've been doing since the shutdown. We started all the way back last May with a series of sheltering stories, all about being inspired by being sheltered. And then we had some original plays around the holidays, and we did our annual concert online. And then in February, Desiree Clark, who is a very gifted local actress and director and is our director of development, came to us with this idea to do a series of monologues on different subjects. So the first one was in February. It was part one. It was called Black Voices, and they were all actors of color and doing works that were by Black writers, and very topical and very wonderful and moving. It was very successful for us. Then we took a break, and we're back this month with Freedom. And these are all different expressions of what it means to be free, both in terms of sexuality, lifestyle choices, in terms of profession, and that's tonight. It's four wonderful actors from. We've been able to work with actors from across the country on this. So one of these actors are in Los Angeles. One is in Texas, and this is a shorter incarnation tonight. It's about 30 minutes, 7 monologues. They're all very interesting. They come from. Some of them are from the screen. One guy's doing a monologue from the movie High Fidelity. We have someone doing something from Steel Magnolias. There's another monologue from the play I Never Sang for My Father. Then we have something from Crimes of the Heart. So it's a very diverse group of monologues tonight. And then we'll be back again in late April. We're going to do close out the series with monologues all done by students in local high schools that we work with through our internship program.
Excellent.
So we'll be able to showcase that aspect of what we do as well.
Now, the ones the thing that's happened, the Freedom, the ones happening tonight. So does each actor chooses their own monologue?
They do choose their own monologue. They're given the subject, and then they find something for it. So it was, it's a surprise to me. I didn't really see any of them until last night during the tech rehearsal, because Desiree has taken the lead on this project after producing a lot of things throughout the spring and winter. We decided that it was time for someone else to produce for a while, which is great, because it gives someone else in our company the opportunity to show what they can bring to us.
Right. And now, so did she direct all these folks remotely as well?
Yes. Okay. She worked with each of them. Everything you see on screen tonight will be a combination of the actor's talents and Desiree's direction. And just because I know the last one, I was just fixed to my screen during the last one. I didn't want it to end. So I know this is going to be a fantastic group of performers.
And how do you find the actors? Do they come to you? How do you find them?
In this case, Desiree used her connections, both from her college days and from her professional days in other cities. So she's got a wide network, and she cast a broad net, and that's how we cast the first two. For this third one, because we're going to be using either students who are currently in the high schools that we work with through our internships, which we're currently doing online via master classes. And we're also going to reach out to some students who have worked with us in the past and have gone on most of them are at College of the Desert. He's a very talented guy that you may know by the name of Cameron Keyes, who was in our production of Expressions when he was a high school student. And he directed you in a reading of Tony Padilla's new play, Artificial Morality.
He sure did, and that was great fun. Yeah.
And when we are going to produce that work, which was delayed from last season, obviously, and Cameron is going to come back and direct it. And the first time ever a student has directed one of our main stage plays, and we're very excited about that.
That's great. Now, I was reading. I'm very impressed. I did not know Desiree Clark has quite a background.
Yes, she does.
Director, producer credits, Los Angeles, received a BFA in acting from AMDA College and Conservatory of the Performing Arts, a graduate of British American Drama Academy. She's got quite a resume here. So, and now you may have said this already, the next installment with the students, are you directing those or is Desiree directing those?
This is going to be a group effort between Desiree, Sean Abramowitz, and myself for this one, because we're going to be working with a lot of different students. So we decided for this third one, we would all team up and make it a team effort. And
do you have a theme for that one? For the monologues?
Not yet. My inclination is, since we've done two that are thematic, I thought it would be nice for the third to be sort of freestyle, and that would allow us to let the students just choose what they think makes them shine. I'm hoping that there will be at least one Shakespeare in there, because one of our students is a nationally recognized competitor in Shakespeare competitions for high school students.
Wow.
So would love to see a Shakespeare monologue.
Yeah. So when you, Jerome, as a director, approach directing someone doing a monologue, what do you have a sort of a strategy that you go in with?
A monologue is just like any other I would compare it to the way I would direct someone doing a song, because a song is a story. A monologue is usually a story. We want to know what happened before they said this, who they're talking to, what happened what's going to happen after they said this. What's the weather like where you are right now? What's the last thing you saw before you started speaking? You want to go into all those aspects of subtext that brings richness to the work. And you want to make sure in a monologue that they're not coming out of the gate too strong, because it has to, it's just like a mini play. You know, I was just reading a play for consideration for our theater company, and I was fascinated because the playwright came out of the gate kind of at 11 o'clock with the character all the way at 11 o'clock, and there was no really
place to go
at the beginning of the play. There's no place to go. And with a monologue, it's the same thing. You want to have a place for it to develop. At the same time, you have to, since it's an out-of-context monologue, you have to establish your character right off the bat. You just have to be present and ready to go.
Right. Have you in the past, particularly working with younger people and students, been in a situation where you really felt that the person, the actor, did not choose, it was not a good monologue for them, it was not a good match, and have to encourage them to find something else? Have you ever had that situation?
Well, not particularly. We have not worked too closely with students on monologues yet. As you know, most of our internships for students were technical internships, and lighting design, props. So this is really, except for having a couple of students in plays where it was age appropriate, this is the first time we're going to work on this level with students. And they all come from different schools. Some of them are in the Palm Springs High School Theater Department. Some of them are at Palm Valley School Theater Department. And then we have students from Cathedral City High School who are primarily there for the technical aspects of them. We're doing the master classes we're doing right now range in anything from what it's like to be a television producer, what it's like to be a set designer, Charles Herrera, who dubs foreign language films, English films into foreign language, is going to do a presentation on dubbing.
Excellent.
And at the end of this year, seniors who have completed all the course assignments will be eligible for our scholarships, which we would usually give to the interns who work with us in person. So
excellent.
This whole new virtual world has created different opportunities for us.
Yeah. Speaking of that, and of course the viruses, everything, we got the vaccines now, so there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. Things are opening up a little bit. What's your hope? What's your realistic hope for what's going to happen with the theater in the fall?
Well, 6 days from now, I get my second vaccine, and I'm very excited. And I know I see everyone's getting vaccines, and things are going to open up. We don't have a clear direction yet from the county and the state on live entertainment, other than in clubs right now.
Yeah.
We're hoping for some direction. My sincere hope is that by fall, we will be able to open on some level. I believe it will be at a reduced
level.
capacity.
Yeah.
But people really need to get back out enjoying the things that make life wonderful, and theater is one of those things.
Yes.
So we will be looking at ways to safely bring people into the theater. We have PPE equipment. We have social distancing guidelines if we need to follow them, and most of all, we want people to feel safe to come back to experience theater in a communal setting. Right.
All right. So tonight, Freedom, the second installment of DET's Monologue Slam series. You're streaming live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/DETC stage at 7 p.m. And it's a free event, but there's an optional $5 donation. Now, if they go on to the Facebook that's DET stage, does it show you where they can make a donation if they want to?
Yes, there's a link to our PayPal account where they can make a donation.
Okay.
And that's obviously greatly appreciated, but it is a free event because of the situation that everybody is in right now.
Yeah. And how about you, Jerome? Do you have any singing live streams or anything coming up soon where people can see you?
I'll be at Frankie's on April 10th.
Yay!
With Keisha D. We're doing a duet show.
That's right.
I'm going to be there April 8th with Ruth Ann de la Vega as her special guest for her 85th birthday celebration.
Oh, good. And that's right, because Eric is playing for you and Keisha. I forgot about that.
Eric is playing for Keisha and me. Yes, we're very excited.
That's great. Yeah, Keisha's fabulous. Boy, she's done a number of live streams at Frankie's, and I tell you what, she is one talented lady and one strong lady. And I know you guys have been buddies from way back. Well, quick.
We're happy to get together again musically. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it is. I know we're all getting a little stir crazy in COVID fatigue and feels like it's Groundhog Day every day. But I think if we all just get vaccinated, wear your mask, stay a little more patient, we're gonna get to a point where we can really loosen up. And I just don't want people to blow it. This spring and summer, and then have some big wave back in the fall. I think that would be really unfortunate.
I'm with you.
Really unfortunate. Well, Jerome Elliot, thank you so much. I always love having you on the show. Good luck with the Monologue Slam. Hope you get lots of donations, and stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks. Bonnie.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll
Bye.
be back with more on the Culture Corner in just a bit.
The curtain rises on local and regional arts and entertainment. From music to theater, films to fine art, it's the Culture Corner. Get connected. Call 760-544-TALK. That's 760-544-8255. Here's Bonnie and Brayan on iHub Radio.
Hey, welcome back to the Culture Corner. On this segment, we're going to talk about a couple situations related to the virtual sphere. Mm-hmm. So Black Widow and Cruella, two movies from the Disney company, Black Widow being the latest superhero movie from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, revolving around Natasha Romanoff, I'm going to say a spy who has I guess the superpower of being very intelligent and very good at fighting and all that. Like, that's her superpower.
Okay.
And Cruella, which is I'm going to say a reimagining of Cruella as the main character as a young woman.
From the Cruella from the 101 Dalmatians?
Yes.
Okay.
So both of these movies have now been on the back burner for Disney. Disney has pushed them back further and further because they were going to be released last year, but because of the pandemic, movie theaters closed. So now they finally came up with a solution to their problem for these movies. So Disney did not want to actually release these movies on their streaming service, but now they figured they have to because they can't keep pushing them further anymore. Yeah. So now they will release in theaters. So if you have the option, you can go and see it at the movie theater. Mask, be safe, But now, if you want to see them at home, pay $30. Pay $30 for premiere access, so you can see them at home, and it's actually extra on top of the regular streaming price. So $10 a month, $6 a month, add another $30 for those movies, and as long as you keep paying that $30, you have access to those movies.
I'm wondering how many people are going to do that. It seems like a lot of money.
It's actually not gone the way they want it to. It turns out movies like Mulan and Raya, the movies that they try to do that for, it's still an experiment. They still see it as this giant experiment of are people going to pay $30? And I have not. I just wait a couple months for these movies to come out. I don't work for Disney, so I can say that. I just wait. I'm going to wait for Raya, which is an animated movie. I'm going to wait until that comes out in June for free on the streaming service, because I don't personally think it's a good idea to release these movies with a $30 price on top of that. I think, to be honest, people can't afford that.
And that's more than going out to a movie when the movie theaters were still open. That's
what I thought too. I thought that's enough to pay for at least, hopefully, maybe 3 people on a matinee.
Yeah, exactly.
You go to the matinee and you'll pay for 3 people. Actually, $30 will pay for a little bit more with the matinee.
Maybe 3 people and some popcorn or whatever, you know.
Or like a box of popcorn because it's so expensive.
Yeah,
but I think for me, if you're just paying for the movie, it's not. They better throw in some popcorn somehow.
Yeah, deliver popcorn to your house.
Deliver popcorn and a drink. But I'm not. I don't know. It's complicated. But moving on to...
Let's talk about the Oscars, because it's no Zoom thing.
So the Oscars, we talked about it a few weeks ago, that they were not doing Zoom, that you dress code and everything. Now they're receiving some backlash for that. A lot of people who would not be able to attend the Academy Awards, including the actors from Minari, movies that have come out, in which actors don't live here. For example... Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman and Chloe Zhao, who are the directors of those movies of Nomadland and Promising Young Woman, they don't live in the United States.
Yeah.
So they do not think...
They're not going to fly here for the Oscars, yeah.
No, and they also said that... And Fennell, who's nominated for Promising Young Woman, who actually is a frontrunner. Believe it or not, the 2 frontrunners for this award are women. The first time 2 women
are. That's great. It's so great.
Chloe Zhao for Nomadland and Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. Fennell actually said she's desperate to go. She said, I'm desperate to attend. The idea of missing it is so awful, but I can't bear to think about it. Obviously, it's whatever... is safe and allowed, but I'm not going to break the law by swimming in the Atlantic, though I would if I had the time and the core strength. And she also, and a couple other people, producers, a lot of the producers and filmmakers, they don't like this idea, that a lot of people within the Academy don't like it, but because the Academy, the bigwigs, decided no Zoom because of a lot of things that have been going wrong. For example, Catherine O'Hara gave a very chaotic acceptance speech through Zoom, and that Daniel Kaluuya was delayed a lot at the Zoom meetings at the
sometimes the
Golden
connection,
Globes.
it's not good.
It's not good, and also they didn't like the fact that a lot of people were dressed in pajamas and stuff.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I think the Zoom option should still be there. I feel like they should accommodate the time.
Yeah, I do too.
And also maybe do a test run.
Yeah. Test it out, and because you could end up with very few nominees being there and it just kind of being a weird show. Very few winners being there and just being kind of a weird show.
And the sad thing is, if we're gonna miss history if it turns out the two women who were the front runners don't actually get to give their speech.
I think they need to rethink that.
And if one of them wins, they would be the second woman out of the 90 years
to win.
win.
What's the date? April something?
It would be. That's a good question. I'm trying to remember.
No, it's April something, I believe.
It's in April. It's certainly going to be in April, but
That's okay. We'll get it in the next segment. All right. Okay. Coming up with more. When we come back, we're going to have Shelley Yeolin, a wonderful musician, sax player who runs a jazz band that's at AJ's on the Green every Friday. Every Friday, we're going to talk to him in just a moment.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Live from the desert cities of Southern California, here's Brayan and Bonnie.
And we're back on the Culture Corner. We're hoping to maybe chat in just a bit with Shelley Yeolin, who's a wonderful musician, wonderful saxophonist who runs a jazz group that plays every Friday. Live music is back out on the patio at AJ's on the Green, which is a great place that has wonderful music. Shelley Yeolin Jazz. So we're hoping to talk to him in just a bit. He's a really talented guy. He spends the summers here, and then the season he goes back to Chicago, right? Let's see. He's he's a teacher, chairman of the Fine Arts Department and band director at Triton College. Works with the Maxwell Street Klezmer Band. Studied music education at Northwestern University. So he's a really, really multi-talented guy. So hopefully we'll talk to him in just a bit. There's a lot. Things are opening up slowly in the desert, which is good. There's some places that are having some live music outside on patios with lower capacity, spacing tables out and masks unless you're eating and that kind of thing. So I think that's okay. I know everybody's I'm so happy that starting next week, April 1st, they've opened up the vaccinations to some of the rest of us. Now it's going to be anyone age 50 plus, 50 to 65, without medical conditions, which is great. So I'm in that category. So I'm really looking forward to getting vaccinated. So I really hope everybody who has the opportunity to get vaccinated does. I have a number of friends who have been and are really glad they did. A lot of people have had no reaction at all. Some people have had nothing, no sore arm, nothing. Some people have had a sore arm. Some people have had a reaction, but it seems more often on the second one. Where they maybe had some flu-like symptoms for 24 hours, fever, aching, headache, chills, whatever, for 24 hours or so. But if you take some Tylenol and take a hot shower, a hot bath, and drink some tea, and you're usually okay. So everybody that I know here in town has done okay with the vaccine, and I really think there's been so many studies that it's really safe and effective. So I'm hoping everybody goes out and gets that. And, if we just stay smart and a little more patient to get through the spring and summer, then hopefully we'll not have a big wave coming in the fall.
Bonnie? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
I was going to say, you just reminded me of the fact that in New York, they actually have some more plans to have music events in the spring and the summer. And by the way, for anyone listening, we will have Shelley Yeolin in just about 5 or so minutes.
Okay.
So,
hang in there. He's
coming. But I do want to say that I think it's important to understand that, I'm very happy that New York at least tried to have some sort of they want to have entertainment still, but they're very safe. For example, the Thanksgiving Day Parade, it was a little surreal, but at least I see the mentality of wanting to create that fun experience and trying to keep some sense of the city of I guess the city of entertainment or something like that.
Right.
The city,
because that's such a big part of New York. Yeah.
And it's the same with Los Angeles. I think Los Angeles, believe it or not, is not so willing to do that. It surprised me that Los Angeles has been more hesitant towards events and all that, which is a little surprising. But New York, I think because New York sees this as an opportunity to heal. because when they started, they really were. It was a horrible.
Well,
thing
they
for
got
them.
hit really hard in the beginning, and then it seems like they did a pretty good job with really shutting down, locking down. So I think now their numbers are okay, but I think LA, the problem, because LA, of course, California is such a huge state, but too many people were crazy, went out on the beaches with a lot of people and that kind of thing. And I think LA has been later in the game, not following protocol, and so now things aren't as good as they could be.
And also, I think the mayor of LA, they're very strict compared to the governor in some cases, because they actually closed down before the state did. So, like, for them, I think, the mayor of Los Angeles, I have a mixed opinion of him overall, but we're not politics, so I'm not going to get into that. But I did think it was a good call for him to actually have said, okay, you know what? I gotta move the ball on this. Got to close down before the governor does. And it was just one day apart. And I think that in the case of, I think that's him now. So I'll be back.
Okay, we're going to talk to Shelley. Yeah. So just this is just, again, this whole pandemic has been such an eye-opening thing, sort of a lesson on responsibility and selflessness and caring about your fellow man and being smart and being safe and not just going crazy. And so I'm hoping that we keep that up before. All right, I think we do have Shelley Yeolin on the phone. Hey, Shelley, how are you?
Hi, Bonnie. I'm fine. How are you?
Good. So you're back in town and got live music back at AJ's. So you're there every Friday. So tell us about it.
Oh, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the air. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. And, music returned to AJ's about 2 weeks ago. And we're going to be playing tonight starting at 6:30. Great music, great food. We have such a nice band tonight. We have on piano Pam Phillips, who's kind of new to the desert. A lot of people don't know her yet, but she has such an outstanding resume. She was a Broadway pianist, played for all the great shows for 17 years and even conducted some of them, was on tour with Evita. She's a marvelous musician, and she'll even sing a few, and we're going to have a real entertaining evening. On bass, we have Bill Saeda, who is a great performer, and he's going to sing a little bit, and Andy Fraga, fantastic drummer, playing. And myself, I'll be playing saxophone and clarinet and flute. And then, of course, we're going to invite all of our friends to come up and join us also. So the invitation goes out to you. And if you want to drag along your friend Eric, that would even be good, too.
My friend.
I don't know if he's allowed out of the house.
No, he's been on his best behavior lately. So tell us now. You're here like kind of half the year. Tell us about your schedule, and then you go back to the Chicago area, correct?
Yeah, I go back to Chicago. I'm probably going to stay a little longer than usual. Maybe I'll stay through June or at least part of June. I'm thinking hopefully some of the other venues that I play at will open up. The Palm Springs venues that haven't opened yet. Melvin's jam session on Sunday, and perhaps the Purple Room where I play with Sharon Sills on Thursday. So I'm hoping those things will open, and I'll stay for those. But usually it's 6 months here and 6 months in Chicago. And I play a lot in Chicago also. I've had all kinds of things going on in Chicago, although last summer there was very little, and it was all in the middle of COVID.
Yeah. Now, do you still teach a little bit too?
Well, I normally teach at the University of Louisville in the summers. I teach at the Jamie Aebersold Summer Jazz Workshops, which is a very famous group of teachers, and we usually get about 600 students every summer, but of course it hasn't been gone on for last summer, and it's not going on this summer. So I'm pretty well retired from my own college teaching job. I taught at Triton College in Chicago. It's a community college in the west suburbs. I was there for 26 years, and taught high school before that. So I had a long teaching career. But I've taught at the Jamie Aebersold workshops for many years, and we taught all over the country. And I think I taught every summer in London for 20 years. We taught the jazz workshops there also. So that was very special.
I don't know if I've asked you this. I know you've been on with us before. What made you choose saxophone? Did you choose saxophone as a kid? When did you first start playing?
That's a very fascinating question. Well, I started playing piano around when I was 4. We had little piano lessons, and I went in kindergarten. They had a piano, and I walked up to the piano and played the piano, and the teacher looked at me and said, "Wow, that's amazing." So I played piano first, and then one day my mother says, "Well, her brother has got a clarinet. He's going to bring it over and see what you think." So she brought this clarinet over, and I looked at it and went, "Wow, that's fantastic. I love that thing." And she found this teacher who was such a special teacher. He taught me from the beginning how to play songs pretty much by ear. And then after that was when I was 11. So 11 and 12, by the time I was 13, he said, "Well, you have to start reading music now so you can play in the high school band." In Chicago Public Schools, they didn't have elementary music programs, so it pretty much started in high school. So then I started reading music and became proficient at reading music, and I loved classical music, and I loved jazz and pop music. So the thing about a lot of the musicians in Chicago is that we're so well versed in all the different genres of music because there was so much work in Chicago. I played in Polish bands, and I played in Irish bands, and I played in Jewish bands, and I played in Latin bands, and it was such a wide variety of things that I played and learned. So that made me a pretty well-rounded musician. But pretty much the last 20, 30 years, I've really been focused on playing jazz. And I love all great jazz saxophone players. John Coltrane, Sonny Rollins, Paul Desmond, Stan Getz, you name them, I love them.
So you went from clarinet pretty quick to sax right after that?
Oh, yeah, really. I think it was maybe a month or two of playing clarinet, and they said, "Oh, here's a saxophone." And it's almost just like the clarinet, just different. So then I switched over, and through most of my youth, I played alto most of the time, alto sax. And once I got into my 20s, it became clear that I was an improviser. And in the big band, the tenor player gets the most amount of improvising. So I switched over and played tenor.
Okay. What, in your opinion, now this is a pretty broad question, but in your opinion, what makes a good jazz musician?
Well, I think the first thing is having good ears. You have to be able to hear the harmony and the rhythm, play with good time. But jazz is it really is a wide variety of things. You've got traditional jazz, Dixieland jazz, and we've got bebop and modern jazz, and now smooth jazz. So many people love smooth jazz. And so a good saxophone player, number one, is a beautiful sound. Does the person have a beautiful sound? And number two, does he play with a good feel of rhythm? And number three, is he harmonically accurate? And going back to number one, is he creating beautiful melodies? Because I think that's what improvising is about. Can you create a new melody over this song that we all know and make it interesting and exciting to listen to, where the listener is wondering, what's he going to do next?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a roller coaster ride. It takes you up, down, and up, and down.
Of all those different categories of jazz that you just mentioned, do you have a favorite category of jazz to play?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty much stuck in the bebop world.
Okay.
Although I have been playing a lot of Dixieland at the Mizell Senior Center. I've been playing in their Dixieland band, which used to be on Fridays before the COVID. And they're talking about resuming out in the park by Mizell maybe next Friday. We'll see if that happens. But I played Dixieland with them. In Chicago, I played this music that's called klezmer music, which is this old Jewish music, kind of like if you think of Fiddler on the Roof, that's the kind of music that was played by the Eastern European Jews who traveled from town to town. So I played, I'm quite an expert in that kind of music. And of course, I have a degree in classical music. I'm playing classical clarinet and conducting. So
you play it all. All right, we're running out of time.
I do a lot of things. And of course, I play rock and roll a lot also.
Okay. Tonight, AJ is on the green. Tonight, Shelley Yeolin Jazz starts at 6:30. Great band, great food, great music. Knock 'em dead. I'm going to come out and see you one of these days. So glad you're back in town.
Will you come and sing one? Will you come and sing with us?
I don't know about tonight, but at some point I will. I promise.
Okay, great. Tell
All
your
right.
listeners, because they all want to hear you sing. You have such a beautiful voice.
Oh, you're so sweet. All right, Shelley Yeolin, thanks so much. Wonderful musician. AJ's
Thank you,
tonight.
Bonnie.
All right,
Yep.
we'll be right
Thanks.
back on the Culture
Bye.
Corner. Bye-bye.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Here are Bonnie and Brayan.
So there's been a lot of stuff going on in the world, especially
Sad stuff.
a lot of sad stuff, and we didn't talk about it last time because we felt like,
Stay away from politics.
stay away from politics, but there was a shooting in Atlanta, but we do have a couple things that did come out of that.
Entertainment stories related to that. Yeah.
Yes. So the first one we're going to talk about is Sesame Street, after what happened, has decided to finally push further with its Coming Together initiative, which is this initiative they created to talk more about diversity and communities. And one of the things they talk about is like, it's okay to speak Spanish in public, and that's your superpower.
Yeah.
That's one of their videos. It's called Spanish is My Superpower. And they decided to finally, for the first time, even though they've had black kids and black actors, and it's very famous for being diverse to begin with, they finally decided to have a group of black Muppets on, the Walkers, they're called, to talk about race with Elmo in an episode of this show. And it's mostly going to be online, so you won't see it on public access, but they are going to do it as part of their Coming Together, and they already released a video where Elmo asks questions about why is your skin black to one of the
He
characters.
talks about melanin, yes, and all that. Yeah.
And it's part of this idea called the ABCs of racial literacy, where they will create programs and resources and activities for your kids to talk about racism and that it's okay to notice racial differences in terms of physical appearance. Like if you'll notice someone has a different texture of hair, like black women, when they have hair different from yours, that it's okay to acknowledge that, but to be ready to hear a good answer and all that, and to be accepting.
To acknowledge it and embrace it and say, hey, this is cool. We're all different. That's what makes the world go round.
And I think it's a great idea.
Excellent.
And I think I trust Sesame Street more than a lot of other shows to talk about
To handle it well, yes.
And I think there's this idea about, well, can children handle it, or
For goodness sake. Children can handle a lot more than adults sometimes think they can. Give me a break.
And one of the things they pushed was, children are not born with the idea of knowing race, but they are taught it. And it's okay. And if they're going to be taught it, we might as well provide programming to show them.
Teach it in a positive way, in a formal way, instead of just, I said that last time, that song from South Pacific, you've got to be carefully taught. Babies are not born racist. They're not. And
that's actually a really good way to say it, carefully taught. And I think Sesame Street does that. So if you're a parent and your kids are having questions about what's going on in the world when it comes to racism, because let's be honest, your kids are going to hear about it.
It's a lot going on right now, but
So why not have Sesame Street be the ones to teach you?
Excellent.
And another positive news story, our final one, Ken Jeong, an actor who has done a lot of great work. He's been in Dr. Ken, a sitcom on ABC, Community, another sitcom. He's mostly been in a lot of comedies. He was in Crazy Rich Asians, and he was also in the Hangover movies. He has decided to actually create a GoFundMe where he has donated to... He actually didn't... My bad. He didn't create the GoFundMe. But there was a GoFundMe campaign for the 5 families that were affected by the Atlanta shooting. He actually donated $10,000 each.
For each family.
So raising $50,000 in general. He has stated that with regards to the situation in Atlanta and the shootings in Atlanta, my heart, thoughts, and prayers go to all of those affected. He's also, by the way, a panelist on The Masked Singer. And he went on to say, enough is enough. We're just fed up. And he actually went on to further say, there's a debate whether this crime was racially motivated.
Please.
Asian American women are 2 times as likely to get assaulted in America. This was clearly racially motivated. This was clearly a hate crime. And he said, and he released these, he gave these way after the names were finally revealed by the Biden administration when they went to Atlanta to meet with the Asian American community about this. He said that it's Ken Jeong, he said, it's enough.
Yeah.
Enough is enough.
Absolutely.
And it's his way to give back to the community. And I think it's so wonderful to do that. I think last week we talked about how another person was treated, took a bad situation and flipped it. And this is and I mean, it's not like he could have helped out those people like by saving them physically, but he did a good job by giving them $10,000. And I think that's more than enough to help them out.
I'm wondering why, because this all has been in the news. And of course, in addition to this, the news, because certain people have pounded away and blamed the coronavirus on China, that Asian violence against Asian people has gone way through. But it seems to be mostly at women. And I'm wondering why that is. So Chinese women are to blame for the coronavirus, but Chinese men are not? I don't get that.
You know, it's interesting you say that, because last night I actually saw there was a conversation, and I forgot where it was, but we were talking about it in class, where we said that we have this perception about Asian women, like the mysterious dragon lady. Like if you go back and watch an older movie and you just see like like anime Wong movies and how she gets cast,
or even in some of the James Bond, you have that stereotype too.
Like the Oriental woman that's like very conniving and all that.
Sometimes evil. Yeah.
So I think there's this perception that Asian women are either A, going to be submissive, or B, are dangerous. And it's like this horrible stereotype that it's like, first of all, it contradicts itself. How are you going to label a group of people submissive but dangerous?
And evil at the same time.
And it's just, it's one of those things where like racism is one of those, it just doesn't make sense. Like, and I don't understand how like this keeps happening to people. It's horrible. But, you know, I'm glad Ken Jeong decided to do something about it, and I do recommend that if you could donate $20 to the families, do so. Even though he donated $10,000 each, it doesn't hurt to give them a little bit more of a boost.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, funerals are very expensive, just that alone.
Oh, that's true.
It's just it's tragedy. And I know this is not a political show, but I just wish more people would just wake up. And you know what? We're all human beings. We're all in this together on Earth here together. We've got to learn how to get along. Nobody's better than anybody else. And you know, if you're focused on your own life, focus on your own life. What are you here to do? What's your mission? What's your gift that you're giving the world? Focus on your own life and keep your nose out of other people's business. And you know, everybody has a right to live and be free.
And also, Asian families, you know, not only do they have to deal with the scrutiny from the coronavirus, but they also have to deal with the virus itself.
Absolutely. Just like everybody. Yeah.
And the thing would be that, you know, I would say certainly that if you want to do something, donate to these families, but also just examine the art and the stereotypes that you're exposed to and actually like think about it. Like how, I'm not saying that no one's to blame particularly, like other than the people that did the crime, but also think like, how is our society creating these stereotypes?
Right.
So
and
that
what could you do to maybe lessen that? What could you do?
What could you do?
You know? Yeah.
Like go support the movie Minari. Go support movies led by Asian actors.
Yeah.
And if you watch Nomadland, directed by an Asian woman, and she might win an Oscar. So there you go.
All right. Good show. We'll be back next week with more on the Culture Corner. Stay safe.